You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Wednesday, June 26th meeting of the Pine Bluffs Town Council. Will everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. On to new business. First item under new business is utility billing policy. Kim, would you like to speak to this?
Yes. There was, our previous utility billing policy hadn't been updated in a number of years, and it did not reflect some of the new billing dates that we go by. And it was also not clear on the difference between like a calendar day or a working day. And so we just thought it would be beneficial that all employees were on the same page when it came to processing utility billing. So this is simply an update of our policy that hadn't been updated since I believe it was 2014.
But primarily, this is what we've been doing, right? Like, to the best of our ability to stay within.
Yes, the only
Some vague
difference
guidelines.
was that we were doing 5 calendar days for the late notice, but then 5 business days or vice versa for the cutoff notice, and that just didn't make sense to me, so we switched it to make them the same.
And what are you looking for on this from us?
Just if you had any questions or concerns, or would like to see us change the way that we handle any of our utility billing practices. One thing I would like to make very clear is, in the middle of winter, we don't shut people's electric off. That is, we don't do that. So nobody will ever be without heat. We try to make sure that people that are struggling know what the resources are out there for, whether it be LEAP or some other agencies.
That inclusion at the bottom.
Yes.
Good.
In the past, in the old policy, it also listed that we would charge, it was, I think, like a 1.5% fee for late accounts. We haven't done that since I've worked here, so I omitted that from this policy. And generally, when we shut off a utility due to no payment, there is a $60 reconnect fee, and it was $60 per utility. However, we generally don't shut off water service to any home. The only time we shut off all utilities is, if a house has been abandoned or something like that, and it's long empty. We've had that happen just recently, where the occupant in the mobile home park skipped town and subsequently ended up selling their mobile home, but never paid their bill. So in the interim, we had turned off all utilities.
And are we required to deliver that disconnect notice? That's something that's,
So we have to deliver some kind of a notice if a person is going to be in jeopardy
I
of
don't
having.
actually think it's required in writing. I've seen
No.
other town policies where it's
Right,
required by phone call
sure.
or
Um,
that. But
Unfortunately, if we don't deliver a notice, then if we don't have a good phone number for them, or their phone's been disconnected, people aren't home, so, you know, we in the office kind of prefer to still deliver that disconnect notice. However, it's not a requirement, we don't have to do that. Our system also, it has an automated call and or text feature, so that if people have a phone number listed with the town in their utility account, then they will receive an automated phone call if their account is late, reminding them that their payment is due. And what we are working toward is the ability of the system to, for folks that sign up for it, send them a text so that they can just click a link in the text and pay their bill online. And that would be just for a regular bill, not necessarily just a late notice, so.
That's great.
as a complete side note to this, one of the member towns in our utility has, their policy is to provide a brownout to customers for an hour as their notification that it comes back up after an hour, but because it's all automated, such as our system is, I mean, we could think about that, but I'm not
Sure.
crazy about that idea
Yeah,
either.
one of our concerns with, even if there is somebody who has their electric shut off, because there are people that it's shut off for other reasons, like some people are snowbirds and they leave the area, so they turn their electric utility off, is we usually require that people be home when we turn their power back on
Right.
for a variety of reasons. And we just would really, you know, it would be just really uncool if somebody left a burner on their electric stove on and somebody put a pizza box on top of it and something like that, you know, just, you don't know what kind of situation could be going on, so,
it's a valid concern.
yeah.
The other thing I would say is, in addition to this policy, that I think we should effort for next year is some type of landlord policy
Yeah.
that accurately reflects what they want us to do when their tenant fails to pay their bill and how that should be treated. And there's numerous different ways we could attack that, but currently we don't have a concrete plan in place in terms of, well, we kind of have a plan. I think it's been commonplace for us to bill the landlord, but
Yes.
Some of them want it ongoing, some of them don't, and so maybe we should require them to sign up for which type of how they would like us to handle their tenant when they were, you know, unable or unwilling to pay their bill.
And most landlord accounts, the landlords get a copy of any late notices mailed to them, so that they're aware if an account is running late.
I think that's a good start. I think in the, our first couple of years on the council, there were some bills that were taken on, like, not allowing us to go after those landlords for back payment. And WAM was really encouraging us to put in some of those policies in order to help us later if we did need to collect those monies. So that was kind of their suggestion, because that bill did state most of the time, this was the law unless otherwise determined by the municipality. So
Okay,
just something for us to think about. And
absolutely, we can definitely work on a landlord piece to this.
So in terms of just a question in terms of, I know it says it's a draft bill, but, it's been thoroughly proofread and we're ready to go with it if that's what we choose to do. We could just approve it.
It
and move
looks
on.
good to me.
I move to approve the utility billing policy.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the utility billing policy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is review and approve the invitation to bid for a trash truck.
I'd like to say you missed something in there, but if you did, I can't find it. It's pretty thorough, Kim.
Always.
Thank you. I had a little bit of help from the town of Albin and from another municipality in Colorado, so.
How many places will we be advertising this?
Well, we'll advertise it in a larger publication, either the Cheyenne paper or the Casper paper, so that it will go out. And then we have 3 vendors that we will email this to directly that have worked with us in the past, so.
How many garbage truck manufacturers are there in the US? Do you know?
I have no idea.
No, either. Because the thing you probably get is you get chassis manufacturers that also want to bid. I mean, couple it together with something else, I would think.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask you, do you have any insight in where you expect these bids to land cost-wise?
We estimate it will come in around between 400 and 450,000. The big driver on that being the chassis.
Do you think that is something that would be available immediately, or is this?
9 months.
That quick? Actually, I was serious.
Yeah.
That sounds fast.
Well, a couple of years ago, they were basically saying 18 months to 2 years, so it's come down quite a bit. Again, I think that primarily has to do with the chassis. For instance, if we're looking at a Peterbilt, it's going to take probably a little bit longer than that.
Okay.
You know, likelihood, what are we gonna end up with as far as the chassis on it?
I'm not 100% sure. We were looking at, gosh, what was, Mayor, do you remember the name of that one brand?
Oh, yeah.
It was an off-brand, but it was, let me see if I can find it.
Can't remember either, but
It would have provided really good visibility, but it was, what do you call that, a cab over?
forward.
Cab forward.
So
Okay,
those are more readily available than a traditional rural track chassis. But there's probably reasons to, given our distance from the the cab forward design may not provide much driver comfort sitting out in front of the wheels. Just based on where you sit, and the ride quality is
Yeah,
probably
generally kind of
sacrificed to some extent, but I can't say for sure.
Just a question, are the loading mechanisms on those things pretty universal?
I think so, depending on whether you want clamps for small bins or all of that, and whether you want side load or front load, or,
Yeah.
Sure.
but I think most side loads are pretty much the
It
same.
was a Dennis Eagle chassis.
Tennessee.
I can't believe you didn't remember that.
I move to approve the release for invitation to bid for the trash truck.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the release for the invitation to bid on the new trash truck. Any discussion? Other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is trash rate discussion. Can-
As we've discussed in the past, we try and keep an eye on our rates to keep them as reasonable as possible. Unfortunately, this last year, we had significant rate increases. We had a 14% increase from the landfill on their charges to the town. And then, we've had some higher insurance and fuel costs and repair costs and all that. So while that was still covering somewhat covering our trash costs, it really was not allowing us to have any money to put aside for capital to continue replacing dumpsters or to replace our trash truck. And so I am proposing a bit of an increase to our trash rates. But I'm also proposing that we clean up our trash rates when it comes to commercial. Under our old rates, we had, number of dumpsters, number of times a week. Again, this is just for commercial. Residential will, still be the 2 times a week. But we have since moved to just picking up all commercial dumpsters 3 times a week. Just because it makes the most sense and it's the most efficient. It didn't make sense to 2 days a week go over to, I don't know, the Car Care or Naughty Pine and skip over the other businesses that were right there. So that is not really affecting the overall rate for this because the rates were not correct on the majority of commercial accounts anyway. So this is going to clean it up. Really what it comes down to is there will be the base rate, which is for 1 trash service. In the case of commercial businesses, it would be a base rate for 1 dumpster 3 times a week. And then there would be an additional fee per month for additional containers. There are some customers that have 2, 3, 4 containers. And so again, they would, because we're going there anyway, that fee for the additional containers is reduced by half. So the proposed increase for residential rates would bring our trash and landfill fee total to $32 a month. And the proposed rate for commercial would bring their rate to $61 a month for the first dumpster and then an additional $30.50 per month for additional dumpsters.
Can you remind me, Kim, I'm just not on that page, what is the current residential base rate?
28.
28.
That's what I had in my head.
Yes.
Okay.
And the 28 is really a 20, it was, broken down into like part of that was a $7, I think it was, landfill fees.
Yeah.
21 and 7.
21
Ours
and
just
7,
put
okay,
together.
yes, 21 and 7.
Okay. Great.
Are we still going to be breaking it down like that? You didn't change it and just do a flat?
It'll just, yeah, I mean, it's in our calculation, but on the,
But it won't appear on the bill anymore?
probably not, no.
Okay.
It'd be probably easier if we cleaned that up a little bit.
Okay.
I move to approve the proposed trash rate.
Second.
We have to, We have to do that 3 times anyway.
No, actually, we did our trash rates last time, we moved it to a resolution. So if you agree with these rates, then I will put it in the form of a resolution, and I will have it for approval at the next meeting. And then I do need to advertise the new rates before they go into effect.
Okay.
So they would go into effect if we have it at the next meeting,
Sorry.
or probably
That's
for
fine.
August 1st.
So we're just directing you to,
Yep.
Right, yeah, I just
Advertise.
didn't know if we wanted to have more discussion about this, or if you guys, were good with
well, I
this
mean,
new
obviously,
proposed
it's
rate.
a fairly substantial rate increase, but obviously the landfill, everything you discussed is problematic in terms of leaving the rates where they are, and, we can always hope that 6 penny comes around every year. So we can buy equipment, but
Yes.
that's like not having a plan at all, in my
Yeah.
mind.
Sure.
So,
And the plan is to keep our old trash truck on hand for emergency use. But it's getting more and more expensive for us to keep that maintained and operating right now.
maybe, I don't know that we need to have a motion at all, do we?
No.
But
Okay,
super, thank you.
sounds good, thanks. Item number 4, fireworks discussion.
I always look forward to this discussion.
Oh,
It's
I
always
love
the
it.
same decision, but
Well,
We
in
have to
fairness,
have
I think it's pretty polarizing, actually.
well, I enjoy it.
It is what it is. Chief Smith,
Mayor, Town Council. First off, I can't believe it's July 4th already. Last year, July 4th was on a Tuesday. This year it's on a Thursday. Last year we did the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from noon to 11. We've done that in the past pretty consistently, and I don't see why we need to change it, but didn't know if anyone had
we don't.
different
I
discussion.
guess all we're asking, or probably what we all wanna know is that what you can support?
Yes.
I mean, you're the one that has to,
Yep, so the 4th gets busy, but I'll be out, along with, Rodney will be out as well that day, so, or that night, so, we'll, always made it work, so, it's something we can support and fine with. You always get someone hitting them off till 12 right at the, very last moment, and you only had to go to a couple of houses and say, hey, knock it off. But, for the most part, it's been pretty easygoing last year. Years past, I've been told it's been fairly similar. But, no, it's something we can handle, and everyone around here, some team, seems to keep it, we haven't had a problem with the recreation area last year. We keep an eye on it, all week, and, into this week even as well, making extra laps, cause they'll go buy fireworks, and we've had a couple pop off this week, but,
really,
for the most part,
making sure they work.
yeah, the kids are making sure they work. And getting too excited.
Yeah, are you aware of what the county is doing? Cause they still have a fire ban in place.
It's lifted.
They lifted the
They
fire
lifted it.
ban, so we've had enough rain, so that's been good.
Okay,
And so it sounds like it's a, green light for them. I know there's different restrictions for, shooting next to the road and, the wheat fields, protecting those. So there's a lot of restrictions on their end, but I think they allow them all week if I don't recall.
well, I would just ask that our citizens use common sense to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know we've had some moisture, but
Yeah,
still.
it's still
It's
dry.
certain areas.
Yeah.
Not like last year.
And we've been getting these 95 days, and I think even next week's supposed to be up there as well, if not close to 100 in one day, so it's gonna get really dry and really quick, and it only takes one spark, so even if it's green, it'll still burn, so.
Chief, you mentioned the curfew on the 4th would be like approximately midnight. What is it on the 2nd and the 3rd?
11.
11, okay.
So I say, and we had a discussion last year, I always say on the 4th, say 11, because they're gonna shoot them off till midnight anyway.
Correct.
So if you say 12, they're gonna push it till 1. So, I'm noon to 11 and call it good, and then start reminding them, you know, as it gets closer to 12, and then after 12, the gloves come off and we tell them knock it off, so.
Great.
But so far, you know, like I said, last year was my first year here for the 4th, and it went well and didn't have much of a problem at all,
Great.
so.
I feel like that's what we should go with.
Yeah, me too. The only other thing I have is that I hope people are respectful of their neighbors and clean up their trash. I know that's been a problem in the past of people leaving their trash on the street or on the sidewalks of their neighbors. So just for people to be respectful of like any debris and keeping our town looking clean and.
I have a little Facebook deal I'll put out, and that will announce, you know, what the hours are and rules about the recreation area. And then as well, same thing, you know, if you plan on shooting off a bunch of fireworks, go to your neighbors, because we do have a lot of elderly and veterans that do not like it. And so, check with them before you start popping something off and see how they might feel. So, kind of a big Facebook message, same thing, same one I put out last year. I'll just repost it, and yeah, it goes over those things as well. But I agree. We only had 1, maybe 2 houses last year that I had to remind to clean up their trash and remind them to not put hot fireworks in our trash bins. So had to have some of their boys got thrown in the trash bin and pulled them on out and put in a bucket for a little while. But that was as I say, it was only 1 house, and everyone else was pretty good about it.
Thank you.
I always
So.
think you allow it for 3 days and they all meter them out. They're like, we can't be doing this all at once.
Yeah.
And then they get down to like 10:30 on the 4th of July and they're like, we still have like 7 bags of stuff. And stuff's going off all over.
Right at the same time.
Like, yeah, maybe plan better. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And I don't know what the fire department's plan is, what time all that's gonna go off, but I know that's in the works.
Usually 9:30.
I was gonna say it's sunset.
Well, it's about
Yeah.
2 hours past my bedtime usually. So whenever that-
Hopefully it's not as overcast, cause last year we had a couple injuries due to low shooting fireworks,
Had a
so.
rough go last year.
But, yep, looks like it's gonna be a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
All right, next item is visitor comments. Do we have any visitors who would like to speak? Can you come up to the podium?
Evening, council. I'm Neil, and I'm a transit driver for the senior center, and I want to say I appreciate all that the city has done to help and cooperate with the senior center. But the one question I have is, why is the bus van being used? I'd say it looks like personally, because I only see one person in it going, and nobody else in it, when we could use it 1 time a month on the Thursday when we take a lot of people to Walmart, and to try to get all their stuff in the van, and they end up holding stuff in their laps.
Have you tried to schedule that?
We try to
have you
schedule
asked?
it, but it's for twice a month, but the heavy time is in the middle of the month when they get their paycheck.
Sure, but I mean, you've tried to schedule with recreation on the use of the bus?
Alicia said that she's talked to somebody, but has never got an answer from what she's told me.
Well, I don't think it's scheduled that often, so assuming it's not prior scheduled, I don't really see
it
an
shouldn't be
issue
an
with
issue.
that, Neil, so,
Yeah.
I think we just need to get together on this. It sounds like a misunderstanding about when it's available, so, certainly, does anybody else have
No.
No, I
anything?
think we need to make set up right.
because there's a lot of seniors that are really needing to go and get supplies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
we'll just get somebody on that.
Yeah, I can.
Who schedules it?
Recreation.
Yeah, or if they call the town hall, we have a scheduling book at the front desk as well.
Okay.
Great, anyone else?
Hi again, I'm Kim Withers. I'm running for Senate District 6. Yep. In the last budget session, it was really eye-opening when I saw that one of a representative that is not part of our district put forth a budget amendment to increase the direct appropriation for our towns and counties. It was absolutely the right thing to do. What was disappointing is that your senator didn't do that. And for this district, who has the most towns and counties in any one of the other districts in the state of Wyoming, that you need an active senator that will do that. Direct appropriation is, the dividend appropriation is absolutely a necessity for you guys in your funding. That's how you build your infrastructures and you do your developments. And with some of the things that we're seeing, there might be a decline in that. You need somebody who will fight fiercely for that appropriation. And I want to sit at that table and do that for you. And I also want to stay connected with you all year long, not just prior to the session or during the session. That's not going to help us get where we need to be in this district. I want to stay in close contact with you, and I want to fight fiercely for you. And I want to know what your expectation of a senator would be prior to me going into session. So I appreciate the quick campaign speech, but I'm passionate about what I want to do for this district and for Southeast Wyoming. It's about time we raise the bar and we become a much stronger side of the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sorry.
Can I go, or?
Well, I had a question for the candidate. And are you a candidate also?
I am as well, yes.
Well,
It's a question for both of us.
yeah, so we can,
We'll do a
we can do a team deal here. This is hard to say. But, in the legal community, we work a lot with agencies, state agencies. And I just wish that someone in the legislature would support and maybe work on commissioning an efficiency study of what's going on in these agencies. It's about impossible to find an employee on a Friday afternoon. And, the size of state government has tripled in the last 10 years maybe, but it hasn't produced better service. And it's really a problem. So I guess I would just ask that if one of you happens to be successful, that you keep that in mind. And I don't know to what extent, Kim, you have to deal with state agencies, but it's a problem.
It is. And that's what I have heard time and time again, is they're non-responsive. And I foresee that we should have some kind of efficiency or a quality satisfaction. How are you reaching out? And it should be expected out of every agency, because there's different customers and clients for each of the agencies. And if we're the end user, we should have that responsiveness. I believe the state works for the local governments. And I am passionate about getting something done, either through the governor's office or through, I don't know if it can do through state agencies or through state legislation, I don't know. But I'm passionate about getting some quality of service and responsiveness back, because that is a problem. Shorter said, people often have said they would rather deal with BLM than the state. And that is absolutely a sad state for us. And that's not where we should be. We should have better. We deserve better.
I will say that, maybe the exception, and I know, Secretary of State takes a fair amount of heat, but we get good service from the Secretary of State's office.
That's good to know.
That's the best of the bunch.
And that's the one we should highlight, is where those agencies are doing really well, they should be a showcase.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of you know me, some of you don't. I think we've had some interaction recently on the what they call the Cowboy Solar Project over south of Chalkbluff Road. My name is Mark Toriani. My wife and I, and my family now, because my daughter and my son-in-law just moved a few days ago here to Pine Bluffs. They're in the old Bauman residence. So there's many Torianis here now. And we run a cow-calf operation on 161. I'm running for State Senate, District 6 as well. Unlike what you might read in the press, I didn't move here from Colorado. I worked over 25 years overseas before moving here, building telecom networks, turning them around, managing them for customers like the U.S. government, contractors to the U.S. military, our troops, our allies and their citizens. I've lived in over 10 countries, met in over 140. And I'm proud now that I'm a citizen and have been a citizen from Wyoming for some time, and we love this area. We love Southeast Wyoming. And my hope is that I die here. So, I mean, we're dedicated to this area, and that's one reason why I'm running. The first reason was as probably Kim considered, trying to get rid of our current senator, who was not responsive to local needs, not responsive to farmers, ranchers, rural communities. I think we've accomplished that. So he's dropped out and he's not running. The other reason is basically to give a voice to the farmers, ranchers, rural communities without any conflicts of interest at all, and provide them very straightforward use of my background and experiences. I've managed billion-dollar operations. I've dealt with every type of politician you can deal with around the world and in the United States. Every type of bureaucracy. I know how to get things done. I'm not one for sitting around and talking. I'm going to get straight to the point and try to get things done, both legislatively and in projects. And I look forward to having the opportunity, hopefully, to work with yourselves and all the communities in southeastern Wyoming. My campaign's a bit different than what you might see on some billboards around town. I'm not spending a lot of money on putting my face up on anything. You'll never see my face on a billboard. I really am dedicated to let's keep Wyoming, Wyoming. I don't think the economic developments that are going in and around Cheyenne are good for the region or for Wyoming. I built data centers. I know how much water and electricity they use. If we build 8 data centers around Cheyenne, we're going to use upwards of 80 to 100 million gallons of water a day. And where's that water going to come from? So that's one issue. It's going to also increase the electricity rates. So even though the state has already approved this solar cowboy project, I've been investing in energy for over 30 years. I know the dynamics of everything from solar to wind to gas to propane to coal. I know the economics of everything. There's no reason for these type of projects to be happening in Wyoming. We do have wind, but neither the solar or the wind industries are contributing anything to the state coffers, unlike our coal and our natural gas and our oil industries, which contributed, as you probably know, over $1.2 billion to the sovereign fund last year, which of course cycles through and comes back to the communities in one way or another. And the solar and wind, how much do you think solar and wind contributed to the state coffers last year? Anybody have a guess? Solar, 0. Now, I'm not talking about property taxes. That's another issue. But wind, $5 million. So we have, if we consider our wind and solar in Wyoming resources, there's not a level playing field between our traditional industries and these new entrants, if we want to call it. They don't employ a lot of people, neither will the data centers. I know this, again, I built them. They'll maybe employ 30 to 50 people max per data center. And I think the economic direction of this state and of the communities around should be focused on giving our youth opportunities for the future. Giving them a reason to stay here. 60% of our youth leave the state already. I want my grandkids to inherit my ranch and stay here. And I want the agriculture industries, I want our energy industries to remain strong and buoyant going forward. And also attract new industries like ag tech, which I think could benefit communities like Pine Bluffs and Burns and Wheatland. These companies are 30 to 50 employees in size, but they'll benefit not only our agricultural operations, but also bring new economic stimulus to the communities that they locate in. And I think they'll benefit all the agricultural operations that we have. So I've got a lot of good ideas. I'm someone that's very direct, very straightforward. I don't play games. I'm not a political insider. I have no desire to make politics my career. As many of you probably here don't. I really want to service and provide service to the community here in Pine Bluffs as well as up in Platte County. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. And, I've knocked on a lot of doors here. I'm going to continue to knock on a lot of doors. I'm up to 40% of the registered voters in Platte County and in southeastern Laramie County. I will continue to knock on doors because I think it's the best way to meet people as well as to get to know what their concerns are. And I've sat on a lot of porches. I've been invited into a lot of homes. And we've spoken about everything from God to energy to property taxes, as I'm sure you all hear about. And I've got a lot of good ideas how to address those concerns. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other visitor comments? None. Department reports?
Nothing?
Airport Board will be having a meeting tomorrow. They're considering having a fly-in this fall, possibly in September. There's some details that have to be worked out, and date being one of those. That would include things like airplane rides, maybe have Flight for Life there to kind of show off, what their equipment looks like. And I think they've done a car show limited basis in the past, so looking at that. I think also there was a question about the use lease agreement, whether they had another revision of that available yet or not. So
Have they asked for one?
that was my understanding.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We need to get together maybe on that
Okay.
and confer at your meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll go over that detail. I think that's all I had to report on airport stuff.
Great. Ally?
Nothing new for me.
Dennis?
I have some old business with the landfill. Prior to my being on the board, the landfill fell prey to a phishing scam, and they ended up divulging their passwords to their bank accounts. And through the course of time, they had multiple deductions out of their account that ended up being something in the range of $50,000 lost to phishing scams, people pulling money out of the accounts. They had an investigation done, and they determined that it was out of Eastern Europe somewhere that these were occurring. And at the time, High West Energy was storing data. Dave might be able to help me with this. You were doing their backup data storage. for the landfill when this occurred.
They had their own backup account.
Okay, they had their own backup account. But at any rate, the High West Energy was somewhat involved in the management of the accounts. And so after it was all said and done and they figured out what was going on and where the loss was, High West Energy agreed to help compensate some of the loss to the landfill. And so the landfill has agreed to accept a $25,000 from High West Energy to help with the loss and from the phishing scam that was perpetrated on them. And I thought it was generous of High West to actually help to compensate for some of the loss, because it really wasn't directly related to anything High West was doing. But I would like to say thank you to High West Energy for stepping up and being willing to help deal with the losses that the landfill had seen.
So, not to jump in on your thing, but for as much as I'm the first one to complain about our passwords and all of that, are we close to re-implementing the multi-step, whatever?
It is, you should all have it turned back on now.
Maybe I'm just lucky. It's not turned on mine.
Okay,
But,
I don't feel like
which I love, but I guess my real question is whether we should start implementing a
yes.
testing program for the
like
phishing,
the jogging.
to see whether
emails
you're
and stuff.
willing to open just any email that comes to you.
Eligible C does that all the time. It's
Oh,
really
do they?
quite funny.
Which I think we've talked
They
to
kept
Dave
track of it
before,
for
I
a
think.
while, like you're rating.
For as frustrating as that is, that's a good learning tool for all of us, and
Yeah,
likely no one's going to get fired for accidentally falling for it, but it's a good opportunity for us all to learn and train and in this world of.
You fell for it at LCCC, you had to go to a training video. It was like 5 minutes, but it covered what you did wrong.
yeah, I think the county
Excellent.
said they do that too.
Well, from an IT perspective, you can take all the steps you want. Certainly MFA, multi-factor authentication, is probably one of the best ones you can take. But at the end of the day, most incidents occur because of failure on the human level. So the better educated we all are, the less likely we are to fall prey, to say a phishing attempt, which is probably the most common type of incident that we have today. So it only takes one misstep, one moment of lack of concentration, but I do believe that education is definitely helpful in that area.
Yeah, someone already tried to beat a man not very long ago. When I got that email that said it was you, and you needed help with something.
Oh
and
yeah,
you
I've
were in a
actually
meeting.
gotten some of those
I
too.
was like, but what if they offer free pizza? Like, I'm not supposed to open that?
Well, before you send money, contact that person by another means of communication to verify.
All right. Great. Anything else?
That was the biggest thing that's happened, and then they're having to update their stormwater prevention plan, which is something that has to happen every 5 years, where they do a study to make sure that we're not polluting groundwater from the landfill. And they also had a environmental impact study done on the new cell to see if it was disturbing wildlife, particularly the sage grouse, and they cleared that study, and so the latest cell is ready to go and everything's moving forward, so the land still should be in pretty good shape for a while.
Great. Alex? Nothing, urgent with regard to the town. I do want to say that, I was pleased to notice, we do some work for the land will as well. And I was really pleased, that the landfill stepped up on their website and admitted, this place is a dump. And we couldn't be more proud of it.
That's right.
That's fun. Chief Smith, do you have anything else?
So I did want to invite Mayor and Town Council. Our first Explore meeting is on the 30th at 3 in the conference room. I welcome anybody to show up and see what the program's going to be. I believe we'll have a good contingent of Laramie County and Kimball there as well. So we'll get to meet some of the kids and some of the parents hopefully, and tell them about ourselves and what the program's going to be like. We
You
have
said on the 30th?
Yep, it's on a Sunday.
On a Sunday?
Yeah. In my experience, that seems to be the best time to get kids together
Okay.
with busy schedules and everything like that. Once we have the kids together and we have a good group of who's going to be consistent, we'll start working out a plan of when everyone's available. But for the first meeting, a Sunday seemed to be the best route in my experience of doing this for many years.
Great,
Other than that, that's all I have.
thank you. Leanne?
I do have a couple updates today. Our new website, we approved the design, so Civic Plus will start populating items that they can for now, like staff listings and, phone numbers, hours and all that. They told us it would be 6 to 8 weeks, I believe, before we get another example. And then after that, once we approve it, then we should be able to launch it by, I would say August, end of August. So that'll be nice. Kim and I had a phone call today with ADP, and we're getting set up to move to ADP for our payroll and timesheets, which will be helpful because right now we have timesheets in one application and then our payroll in another. They don't always talk to each other. This will all be in one place. I think it'll be better. We got a credit notification from Wyoming Workforce Services for just a little over $17,000. That was because we paid normal unemployment tax rate during the pandemic, and they credited us back for that.
Nice.
So we don't actually get that money up front. What it does, it just comes off our payroll until we deplete it all.
That's great.
So, other than that, just chugging along, doing well.
I have one request for you.
Sure.
Is while we're waiting for the website to be built, I know we can make minor modifications to our current fine
Yes.
website. Could we update the meeting times?
Absolutely.
I don't really care if we work on anything else in there, but
Yeah.
get the meeting times.
Times and dates all updated. Yeah,
Yeah, please. Thank you.
you bet.
Kim?
We have some very large projects starting. While this is not a town project, it does tie in with a town project. The YDOT's Pine Bluffs to the Nebraska border US 30 project is going to be starting July 1st. And it will start at the Pine Bluffs end of 30 at the museum, where they will be replacing the box culverts that go under Highway 30. So we will post any announcements on Facebook, but there will be detours that will have to take us around the museum there. And to get us back onto Highway 30. That project ties in with the construction of the new railroad crossing. So also during the month of July, you're gonna start to see the construction of the Butler Avenue Railroad crossing. And just a reminder that it's gonna be an awesome new silent crossing. And this project in its entirety is expected to last until mid-October. And then, while I don't have a firm start date yet, we will be breaking ground for the north property in August. And that project is anticipated to last approximately 210 working days, so about, figuring in some holidays and weather days, probably a little over 11 months till infrastructure is complete out there. So I guess I need to ask you all, would you like to have any kind of a groundbreaking ceremony or any kind of a public announcement made once we have a actual start date on that project?
I think we should have a groundbreaking.
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe so.
We'll get that coordinated. And the couple of other things I have are airport, our spill prevention control and countermeasure, the SPCC plan for the airport has been complete. That's a plan that we need to update every 5 years, so that's done. And we are actively starting our audit process again. And that's our financial audit process. And then our audit that we do for the Department of Audit, I will start the internal process on that sometime after the 1st of July.
Any other business? I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.